10-minute book review, Gone with the Wind. Today, we delve into the classic Gone with the Wind. This book was written by American author Margaret Mitchell and won the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction in 1937. The story is set in Georgia, USA. The protagonist, Scarlett O'Hara, is the daughter of Gerald O'Hara, a well-respected plantation owner. Gerald, originally an Irish immigrant, arrived in Georgia penniless, but through gambling and shrewd investments, he purchased Tara Plantation and began building his livelihood on that land. At 43, he married Ellen, a 15-year-old daughter of a French immigrant family from the East Coast. The couple was kind-hearted and respected by their white plantation neighbors, and they were beloved by the enslaved people they owned. Scarlett grew up in this environment. By April 1861, tensions between the North and South of the United States were high, and Georgia's men were discussing the impending war, but 16-year-old Scarlett showed no interest in the topic. Instead, her thoughts revolved around balls, outings, and her many admirers. When she learned that Ashley Wilkes and Melanie Hamilton would announce their engagement at an upcoming picnic, Scarlett was shocked. She had always admired Ashley for his gentlemanly manners and handsome looks, and believed she was superior to Melanie in every way. Confident in her charm, Scarlett thought she could win Ashley's heart. However, when she confessed her feelings, Ashley admitted he cared for her, but ultimately rejected her, having already decided to marry Melanie. Feeling abandoned and humiliated, Scarlett slapped Ashley and threw a vase in anger after he left. Unbeknownst to her, Rhett Butler, the male lead of the novel, witnessed the entire scene. When Scarlett accused Rhett of not being a gentleman, Rhett retorted that Scarlett was no lady. That same night, news of the war broke out, and the ball was cancelled. Suddenly, Scarlett decided to marry another admirer, Charles Hamilton, out of jealousy toward Ashley and a desire to prove that she didn't need Ashley's affection. 2 weeks later, Scarlett became Charles's wife. However, just 2 months after their marriage, Charles died from pneumonia and measles, leaving Scarlett a widow. Since she never truly loved Charles, his death didn't sadden her much. She even felt some relief. However, the life of a widow was unbearable for someone as lively as Scarlett. With Ashley sent off to fight in the war, Scarlett grew tired of her life at Tara and decided to move to Atlanta to live with Melanie and her aunt, hoping to return to the city's social scene. The change of environment lifted Scarlett's spirits slightly. By the summer of 1864, Union forces were closing in on Atlanta, the Confederacy's capital. As the city came under siege, many families, including Charles's aunt, fled. Scarlett received a letter from her father, telling her that her mother and sisters had fallen ill. Though she initially wanted to return home, she stayed because Melanie was about to give birth, and Scarlett felt obligated to honor Ashley's request to take care of Melanie. During this time, Rhett visited Scarlett, teasing her with his interest and making flirtatious suggestions, but Scarlett felt insulted and rejected him. In April 1865, the Confederacy surrendered, and the war finally ended. While many Southerners wept over their defeat, Scarlett's main concern was how to save Tara Plantation. After the war, soldiers passed by Tara daily, returning home from the front lines. Ashley, though physically worn and impoverished, finally came back alive. In the spring of the following year, the new government imposed additional taxes on Tara, threatening to auction off the estate if the taxes weren't paid. The man behind this plot was Jonas Wilkerson, a former overseer at Tara, who had joined the Freedmen's Bureau and saw an opportunity to seize the plantation. Scarlett, desperate for help, turned to Ashley, but his weakness and lack of initiative disappointed her. In her desperation, Scarlett remembered Rhett and decided to seek him out, hoping he would provide the money to save Tara, even if it meant marrying him or becoming his mistress. She traveled to Atlanta, only to learn that Rhett had been imprisoned for allegedly embezzling Confederate funds. Feeling defeated, Scarlett bumped into her sister Sue Ellen's fiancé, Frank Kennedy, who owned a store and had saved up some money. Knowing that Sue Ellen wouldn't use the money to save Tara, Scarlett lied, claiming Sue Ellen was engaged to another man, and successfully seduced Frank into marrying her instead. 2 weeks later, they wed, and Tara was saved. Though Frank was a cautious and traditional businessman, his lack of vision frustrated Scarlett. Rhett, released from prison, helped Scarlett through his connections and lent her money. Despite Frank's disapproval of her aggressive business tactics, Scarlett pressed forward and used Rhett's funds to purchase a lumber mill, which she ran herself and eventually expanded. Later, Scarlett became pregnant but continued working, determined to earn as much money as possible before giving birth. She purchased a second mill and frequently traveled alone between the two, having no friends except Rhett. Meanwhile, Atlanta's crime rate soared, and Scarlett narrowly escaped being assaulted by thugs. She didn't realize that both Ashley and Frank were part of a group seeking revenge on those who had wronged Southern women. During one of their retaliatory actions, Ashley was arrested, and Frank was killed. Rhett intervened to rescue Ashley, but Frank's death plunged Scarlett into despair. Rhett, however, proposed marriage, albeit in a mocking tone, despite his deep love for her. He hoped that their marriage would eventually win her heart. Despite opposition from friends and family, Scarlett married Rhett and gave birth to their daughter, Bonnie, a beautiful child who became the center of Rhett's world. However, Scarlett still harbored feelings for Ashley. On the afternoon of his birthday, Scarlett and Ashley were seen embracing at the mill by one of the workers, and the rumor quickly spread throughout Atlanta's social circles. Rhett, hearing the rumors, was furious and disappointed, further straining their already troubled relationship. Despite this, Melanie stood by Scarlett and Ashley, trusting them unconditionally and defending them against the gossip. Tragedy soon followed. Bonnie died in a horse-riding accident, a devastating blow to Rhett. Scarlett tried to console him, but Rhett was consumed by guilt and grief, and their relationship became irreparably damaged. Eventually, Rhett decided to leave Scarlett. Shortly after, Scarlett became pregnant again and prepared to share the news with Rhett. During a heated argument, Scarlett accidentally fell down the stairs and miscarried. Rhett, now completely disillusioned with their marriage, decided to leave her. Time passed, and despite her doctor's warnings, Melanie became pregnant again, leading to her rapid physical decline. She died from childbirth complications, leaving Scarlett with the responsibility of caring for Ashley. It was only after Melanie's death that Scarlett realized Melanie had been her greatest support all along, and her obsession with Ashley had merely been a facade of her own pride. In truth, Scarlett's real love was Rhett, the man who had stood by her through it all. But by the time Scarlett recognized this, Rhett had already resolved to leave. Realizing she had lost the two most important people in her life, Scarlett fell into deep despair. However, she refused to give up. She decided to return to Terra, determined to start over and win Rhett back, believing that tomorrow is another day. Some people hate Scarlett for her selfishness, arrogance, and vanity. They despise how she stole her sister's fiancé, looked down on poor farmers, and resorted to ugly tactics for money. But she also possesses admirable qualities: her strength, courage, and unwavering commitment to the land. She was willing to abandon her upbringing and work the fields when needed, and she started her own business despite social backlash. Scarlett faced many challenges in life. When confronted with hardship, she chose to fight. When faced with responsibility, she accepted it. Yet, when faced with love, she blinded herself. By the time she realized what was truly important, it was too late. When Scarlett felt powerless, she would tell herself that tomorrow would be better. No matter what she faced, she remained hopeful and never gave up. However, she was relentless in pursuing what she wanted, yet indifferent to what she already had. In her quest for happiness, she constantly pushed it away. Only at the end did she realize that the one person who had always been there for her was the one she truly loved. But by then, he was gone. She had hurt him too deeply. Could she ever win him back? Why do we always wait until we've lost something to realize its value? Let's end today's reading with a quote from the book: "Life's under no obligation to give us what we expect. We take what we get and are thankful it's no worse than it is."